Hi, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody's here, or people are joining now, so we'll get started. And thank you for being here. So I'll do a brief introduction. So hi, everybody. I'm Tim Sainty, the Membership Director at the CIPHE, and I hope that your lockdown hair is doing better than mine, and please drop me a line if you know any hairdressers with a steady wrist and a 2-metre long pair of scissors. So thank you for joining us today for what we intend to be a brief introduction to why the CIPHE and Ideal Standard, supported by FIESTA Learning and the Bathroom Manufacturers Association, are collaborating in a scheme to support apprenticeships in the UK plumbing industry. Just very quickly from me, you will see that chat and Q&A functions are open. So if you have any comments or questions, do please drop them in there, and I will try to pick them up with people at the end. And any that are in there but we're unable to read before we close will be followed up on afterwards too. Some brief introductions. Speaking here today will be Vikki Atkin, who is the Senior HR Partner in the UK and Ireland for Ideal Standard. Carmen Daly, who is the Operations Manager for the FIESTA division at the Apprenticeship Group, and Jerry Whiteley, who is the Technical Manager at the Chartered Institute of Plumbing and Heating Engineering. Before they do, if you will just indulge me for one moment, I'm going to ask people to respond to a quick poll that we put up on the screen, so thank you. Can people see that poll? Yeah, great. Okay, if you could share your views on there, we'll run it for a few seconds more, get a sense of where people are at, share the results with people. Right. Okay. So I'm going to bring that to a close in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. And to share the results of that. So barriers obviously cover across all of the categories really. Understanding of the funding is an interesting one, and Jerry having spent a lifetime in colleges, I'm sure can appreciate that as well. So great. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for that. We'll run a couple more polls during the session, but otherwise over to Vikki. So thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Good afternoon, everybody. I too am struggling with lockdown hair, as I'm sure most are, and I've had to invest in some root spray, so I can totally empathise with you there, Tim. Okay, if I could have my first slide, please. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of background into our organisation, so we are Ideal Standard. Ideal Standard is one of the world's leading manufacturers of high quality private and public bathroom solutions. We're headquartered in Brussels in Belgium, and we are a privately owned company employing around 9,000 people today. So we actually operate 16 manufacturing sites serving over 100 countries, and that's across Europe, Middle East and Africa. So using the latest technologies and working with world-class designers, we're focused on developing innovative bathroom solutions across multiple product categories. So we cover bathroom ceramics, taps and fittings, bathing and wellness, and also furniture and accessories. So with regards to our current apprenticeship levy spend, so we invested at the moment on upskilling our existing employees and supporting them with their development and career aspirations. So currently we've got 21 live apprenticeships today, and this ranges, as you can see there, from a whole host of topics. The most invested spend that we have is on the upskilling of our leaders, current leaders, and that's aspiring leaders as well. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is how Ideal Standard wants to support the industry in ensuring that the levy spend that we're not utilising is kept within the industry. And this falls nicely within our Armitage Trust campaign as well, which is all about our organisation supporting the industry with our breadth of knowledge around projects, our heritage, also the products knowledge that we have, and also the aftercare that we provide to our customers, but also looking at how we can support in ensuring that we maintain longevity within our industry with the educational aspect. And that is why we teamed up with the organisations here today and want to invest some of our levy spend to support that. Okay, so to give you a little bit more information around what it is we're proposing to do, is we want to support the next generation of plumbers and address the current skills shortages that we have in the industry currently by gifting a proportion of our levy funding that we have available at Ideal Standard. So plumbing apprenticeships have actually been really hard hit with the coronavirus pandemic, and we understand that 1 in 10 apprentices have actually lost their jobs. So as a result of that, we aim to address the plumbing industry skills gap and attract much needed new talent into the sector. One of the things that we are really aware of is that some MSMEs do not have the opportunity to be able to fund this training, and this education may otherwise not be able to take place if we don't support with the funding of the actual cost of the apprentices. So we want to achieve this by working in conjunction with the BMA, the CIPHE, and also the design education body FIESTA, who will speak a little bit later on this webinar. So funding is to be provided for apprenticeship positions by businesses within the CIPHE network. So thank you for joining today. The scheme will help young people gain knowledge, skills and experience to begin a career in plumbing. And training will be carried out by some of the top learning providers in the UK, carefully selected by the CIPHE. So initially what we want to do is we want to support 3 apprentices with their apprenticeship cost, and we want to look at supporting people local to our site, so looking in the Hull area, the Staffordshire area, and also within the London area as well. We will also work with colleges to set the standard for training, ensuring that apprentices are fully equipped to succeed in the trade. So this is not just about funding the apprentices, this is about us becoming part of that standard to support them with learning the products and ensuring that our installers are equipped as they move out into the industry. Okay, thank you. I'll hand over to Jerry.
Thank you, Vikki. Thank you very much for that, and hello to everybody. So for the CIPHE, we just as you see that apprenticeships are a vital part of the industry. It's an area where you can grow your business and fill in those skill shortages, those gaps within the industry. So effectively, by taking on an apprentice, you can actually grow your own. Because what you're doing is, by taking in a person on, is you're developing that person to suit your business needs. You're in control of that education and that training. An idea, because they're with you all the time, they're going to get to learn exactly what you want from them. So within that, obviously, there's other areas where you can seek to maybe look to hire some people like ex-forces, for instance, through this programme. That is always a difficulty for people who are in areas such as ex-forces or adult learners coming through. Because there's no age cap on the apprenticeship, then they're ideal for this pathway. At the same time, what we also seem to get sometimes from the industry is they'll turn around and they might say, sort of a common saying is that if I take an apprentice on, well, that's just treating competition. I'm just developing someone to compete. Not true. Not true at all. One, there's an abundance of work out there in most parts of the country, I'm not saying everywhere. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're producing another individual to be part of in your business. And if anything, you're putting back into the industry someone just as good as you. Every plumber I've ever met always says there's no one better than themselves. So produce another one. Next slide, please, Tim. So for that pathway then, for when you take that individual on through the apprenticeship scheme, there's a new educational standard set out, and that's been built by employers. The employers have built a description, if that's the word to use, namely the standard, through a Trailblazer group to set things out. And it's set out by a 4-year pathway. The final part of that pathway ends up with an endpoint assessment, but it's based over 4 years at level 3. So there's no longer a level 2 pathway. Assessment is set within that then as milestones. So towards through the academic years, I'll have a test, sort of quite generic test, a bit on health and safety maybe in year 1, and some plumbing principles, things like that. And they have those sort of set milestones to see how they're going along through the programme as they go through the programme. It finalises in an endpoint assessment, of which then is booked in through the college, the endpoint assessment organisation, and the employer. And nothing takes place until all that has had a thorough discussion. The employer is ultimately a party to that discussion to agree when that individual is ready to take that assessment. So it's very much employer involvement in the apprenticeship programme to guide and support the whole process, because ultimately that individual, well, you know no one better than them as to where they are, because you've trained them, simple as that. So at the same time, at the end of that, the apprentice can then become professionally registered with ourselves through the Chartered Institute of Plumbing, Heating and Engineering as an example, and of course through the Engineering Council, which then puts them into that professional status that we all want for the individuals to be able to wear that badge as they progress into the industry and onto their own 2 feet and in your business. Next slide. So within that standard, there's two pathways to choose from. One of them being fossil fuels, being gas, oil, solid fuel as examples for them to select, which is probably the most popular one at the moment, if I'm honest with you. Or, of course, environmental technologies, air source heat pumps, as we know, is a growing area, solar thermal and rainwater harvesting. So those are the 2 pathways that map into the businesses for them to select which one they want their apprentice to be trained upon as an outcome. And of course, goes without saying, maths and English is absolutely key. They're going to learn a heck of a lot of that throughout the education training programme anyway. But to go through the endpoint assessment, they need to have achieved the maths and English to the equivalent of a level 2 to get through to the endpoint assessment. And as I said there, the employer states when the apprentice has met or exceeded those expectations to be accepted into that gateway. So it's very much employer embedded into the journey of the learner and the outcome. So the scheme also then, this scheme will also provide additional support and services for apprentices and the companies that provide them with a platform to learn. So it's a great way of getting involved. Over to Carmen.
Thanks, Jerry. Hi all, thanks for having me here today. Just very quickly before I get going, because what I'm here today to tell you sort of about some options that you've got if you, because obviously Ideal Standard are going to commit 21k to your apprentice learning. You've got Jerry who's told you about all the fantastic, bits and pieces that the apprenticeship, covers and looks after for you. And then you've also got some amazing colleges and training providers there. But I just want to talk to you about if there's anything that is sort of putting you off of engaging with the apprenticeship. So if I could trouble you to do one more poll, please, if that's okay, Tim, to get that up. Brilliant. If you could just answer that for me, and that way I can tailor sort of what I'm going to talk about. How are we getting on, Tim? Is everyone all right? Good? Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, no, that's all right.
Through now. So I shall give that another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and I shall end the poll, and I shall share the results. Ready, Carmen?
Go for it.
All of the above.
Excellent. So I'll go with a general feel, and we will certainly cascade contact details for everyone at the end. So there's always going to be places that you can come and ask questions, because obviously I'm conscious of time and it's a brief overview. So as mentioned before, there's a number of parties making this happen for your industry and protecting the industry for you. So I'm from the Furniture and Interiors Education and Skills Training Alliance. So that was a number of trade associations and stakeholders within the industries that banded together to really push the training and development agenda. One of those core members is the Bathroom Manufacturers Association, of which Ideal Standard are a very, very valued member and a huge champion of working in conjunction with their association. So a huge part of what FIESTA spends our time doing is working with organisations that are within their different trade associations to give them support around apprenticeships. You know, it helps them navigate some of the complexities, getting through some of the bits and pieces which people need. So I just wanted to really run through and show you kind of one of the core elements of our service is something that we call the ATA. Now, an ATA is a government approved vehicle, and it is there to take away any issues that you might encounter, any barriers to entry which are stopping you getting involved with apprenticeships. So move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So with an ATA vehicle, essentially what that does is that can actually employ the apprentice on your behalf, and then you become what's known as the host organisation. Now, absolute day-to-day, you know, management and running of the apprentice sits with yourself, but where we help is to really sort of take the administrative tasks and any of the complexities off of your desk. So that way, you know, what we don't want is fantastic organisations like Ideal Standard who want to make sure that unspent levy funds are staying within the sector and, you know, and are going to the right people that need them. We want to make sure you can access them without it draining the resources that you currently have on site. So with that situation, as I said, we're the employer, you're the host. Now, anyone can use an ATA vehicle, so it's open to sort of any type of organisation, but it's really, really popular with SMEs because you know, potentially you don't have a HR department, or you don't have sort of, you know, a learning and development department, and you just need people to sort of help you with those bits and pieces. So what does the ATA service do? And essentially it's everything. So, which is quite good, ties in well with the response from the response from sort of the poll that we just did. So the ATA service, it undertakes recruitment on your behalf. You absolutely have the final say as to whom you take on, but it does all of the eligibility checks and finding the right candidates and organising initial interviews and then getting across shortlists for you to make a decision. Employment, contracts, payroll, everything is taken care of because they are ultimately our employee and you're the host. We manage them, so there's performance reviews all the way out through the apprenticeship. We look after sort of the any reporting that you have to do. We're always there to sort of give information and advice and guidance. If hopefully there wouldn't be, but if there's any disciplinary issues, then again, because we're the employer, we can help take those off your desk for you. And then also we oversee the apprenticeship training, and we really work very, very closely. We do not do the training. We work with those colleges that are specialised sort of within this sector, and we make sure that it really helps sort of, you know, it runs smoothly. We're there to sort of coordinate and liaise. And then next steps wise, once they come to the end of their apprenticeship, depending on what you're ready to do, if you can make them a permanent employee, if you know, if there's not a permanent role with them, if they're moving off into the big bad world, then we can help facilitate that for you. So when we were obviously talking about this initiative with all the parties involved, we wanted to make sure that no one was left out of being able to be involved. No one thought, oh, actually, I can't apply, I can't be part of this system, this initiative, because I just can't deal with the administration. So that's where we've really been involved to hopefully take that off the desk of anyone that needs it. Very quickly, a case study. So we've got, just to sort of give you an idea, there was, you know, an independent plumbing and heating merchants. There was only 2 permanent employees with them. They really wanted to engage with apprenticeships, but there was no HR function. They had no experience with apprenticeships whatsoever. So we were able to, they were assigned a what's known as an apprenticeship account manager who is with them from day one. So they do the recruitment all the way through to the management, the training. There was a couple of little teeny tiny disciplinary issues here, just the young lad, it took a little while for him to get used to being at work on time. So, you know, we helped manage those and give him the little nudge that he needed to get himself back on track. So, you know, and then as he moved through, we're thrilled. He actually passed with a distinction and then was made a permanent offer with the organisation because they've supported him so highly through the apprenticeship, and they were able to do that because of the ATA vehicle. He is so loyal to them. He's an absolute brand ambassador from the you know, from start to finish, in terms of he knows who sort of helped him get that start and where they're going, and it's really sort of worked very, very well there. Next slide, please. Additional benefits. I know we've actually got a couple of training providers who are on the call as well. So as I said, we work with the right providers. They get selected by looking at sort of location and delivery and a fit, you know, alignment with the employer and the trainer. So why providers really like working with ATA vehicles as well, because they, you know, it gives them a pipeline of activity. There's, you know, there's a lot of support that comes from us, which we can help take off their desk for them, as well as taking admin off of your desk. We can help do that with the training providers, because it means that they you know, they do have one contact, they do have one person, and then that way they can focus on delivering the best training possible for the money that we've got. The other thing is because we do employ hundreds and hundreds of apprentices on behalf of different organisations, we've got that economy of scale, which quite often means we can get supplementary training, we can do big peer-to-peer learning events, and then that will further supplement the extra support, the mentoring that's going to come from Ideal Standard and the relevant associations. So if we can move on to the last slide. Excellent. So next steps, if you did want to be involved in this initiative where Ideal Standard are going to pay for the apprenticeship for you, then there's a short application process to get going. This opens on the 15th of March and it closes on the 30th of April. If you would like more information, we've got a little bit of an information pack for you, or to just register your interest, then please do contact me. And I think Tim mentioned you're going to cascade these details out, so don't worry about scribbling down an email address if you are interested. Okay.
Thank you, Carmen. And I'm just going to leave these contact details for everybody here just on the screen as well, just in case anybody doesn't necessarily want to go so far as committing to that at this stage, but has any further questions, then please do follow up with us afterwards as well. I'm back on here because I've got some questions here as well. So bear with me whilst I look through those. Right, we've requested a copy of the presentation. Sorry, I'm reading these for the first time because I was hosting as well, so just bear with that. But I requested a copy of the presentation. Absolutely, we have recorded this session and we'll share it with everybody who's registered and attended, and also those who were unable to be here. We'll share it out more widely. Will you be offering the Ideal Standard supported placement across the whole of England and not only Staffordshire and London? If I can just answer very briefly on that, I think the CIPHE is absolutely delighted to be working with Ideal Standard on this, and Ideal Standard intend to offer some local support by getting people into their local sites as well. But the CIPHE absolutely sees a model here that other organisations, other manufacturers, other companies in the industry can get involved in as well. And so we really see something that can be expanded from here to cover more of the country too. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that, Vikki? Vikki, you're just on mute.
That's the common phrase of lockdown, isn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, in the first instance, we will be, as mentioned, supporting the cost of the training of 3 apprentices. So we thought in the first opportunity, it'd be good to support local people to our sites to further support the communities as well as part of our, you know, social commitment to our areas. That's not to say that if this takes off, that we may not look to expand that further. So it's a possibility. Obviously, it's in the infancies at this stage, so we'll see how our first placements go in the first instance.
One comment here that you'll be delighted to hear, Carmen, which is from an anonymous attendee who said that they saw the ATA model in Western Australia in the 90s, and if managed properly, it's a great way of training apprentices.
Whoop whoop, see Australia flying the flag for apprenticeships, so that's great. And you know, and as I said, we're very lucky to sort of have a lot of support, a lot of great employers and trade associations to work with, so we can absolutely make it work.
Great, okay, and sounds good for the employer, but why would Ideal Standard want to pay for it for them? That is definitely for you, Vikki.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Do I need to click the slide back? Brilliant, okay. So the reason we want to do this is to keep the levy funding that we have to spend on upskilling within our industry. So we recognise that there's a skill shortage within the industry. We recognise that a number of individuals have actually lost their plumbing apprenticeship as a result of the pandemic. And we want to ensure that we give that opportunity out and we keep that funding. So that's exactly why we want to do that. We want to support, you know, our networks, communities and industry.
Thank you. One for you, Jerry. Great Zoom, and having Jerry involved is definitely a plus regarding training. Will Jerry be appraising the colleges who apply to ensure that they deliver quality and relevant training? Because I think we all agree that many colleges deliver poor training, especially for full-time students. There you go. How do you like that hot potato, Jerry?
Yes, is the answer. We would obviously want to verify the colleges, as it was said in the information that. We want to target the member colleges, the approved training centres that we have on our database. That is our target audience initially, shall we say. And of course, for those colleges who are not approved training centres, well, now's the chance to get on board, isn't it? You know, just look at what's coming through and the kind of initiatives that we're leading on and working with collaboratively and where this can go. So for colleges whereby you've got to get some of those owners back in, they've lost their job, great opportunity to recruit, or if you're going to recruit new people. And across the piece, really. So yeah, absolutely. For colleges, I think this is a fantastic way forward for you to get those numbers back in, really, and all the ones who've potentially lost the job that way through the course and things like that. So absolutely, yeah.
If anybody keeps abreast of current affairs, then John Henry is asking, can we have a cat speaking as well, please? So I don't know if anybody saw the Texas-based lawyer. I don't think anybody's got the cat filter, unfortunately. A question about how is the training provider chosen? It's from within the CIPHE approved training centre network, and also then also the ones within the network who are already committed to delivering the new standard. Anything further you would add to that, Carmen?
No, I think you've covered it there. You know, certainly, as well as obviously looking at those within the network, we'll make sure that they're the best fit as well. So potentially there might be a couple of options, and that's where Jerry and myself will really help sort of the employer, the apprentice and the training provider make the right decision.
Right, okay, thank you. We've got 2 minutes until our end of session here, because we said we'd keep this to 1 o'clock. An interesting one for you here, Vikki, if I can. I'm currently employed by Ideal Standard as a tech service engineer covering Scotland, and would like to add my skills by completing plumbing qualification. Is there anything available within this scheme that would be available to me?
I'm mute again. There we go. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's slightly separate to this scheme, because obviously we've got our levy funding that we'll naturally utilise to upskill our current employees as well. But I think what there is an opportunity to do here is to find a great training provider through the work that Jerry and Carmen are doing, and ensure that we get the best apprentice for the individual needs of our employees. So yeah, absolutely, we'll look into that.
Okay, and I'll take this as the last one, which is, if we don't get selected as a part of the scheme, can I still get support with the recruitment and employment of an apprentice via the BMA and the CIPHE? So Carmen, perhaps, I mean, absolutely, the CIPHE is committed to supporting in whichever ways we're able to do so, and I'm sure that Carmen can expand upon that briefly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So as well as your good selves, also I know that the BMA 100% helping employers get sort of support that they need, as is FIESTA. That's our whole jam. That's everything we're about. So we can certainly help with that. The ATA is an option for you. We can help with you, you know, securing the funding that you need, finding the right training providers. You know, so if you aren't with, if you don't get selected as part of this scheme, then you can 100%. The door is not closed to you. We can still help.
Okay, thank you. We have reached 1 o'clock. I did commit at the beginning of this to also answering any questions that we weren't able to reach, and we will do that. I'll share them with all of the panel here, and we will come back to you with a response when we send out the recording as well. So I'd just like to say again, thank you very much for joining us for this quick half an hour. I hope you were able to get a sandwich, those of you who read my Twitter post earlier on. And otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. So thank you very much.